Hi, and congratulations on completing week one of systematic theology. This week's title was Introduction to Systematic Christian Theology, and our goals were to explain the nature and necessity of systematic theology, which we did through a couple of assignments, describe a proper method for systematic theology, again, 2 assignments address that, and finally to formulate doctrines in a form contextualized for the contemporary world. Our first assignment was a 2 to 3 page paper comparing and contrasting Erickson's discussion about the theological method with approaches like Grudem's. Now for me, the grade key is going to be very similar throughout the entire semester. So if you take a few minutes to really internalize this video, then your grades will fly through the rest of the course without problem. So first, I was looking for an in-depth comparison of Erickson's 10 steps with Grudem's using citations from both. So I wanted a summary of Erickson and a summary of Grudem using quotations and citations, and then a comparison. I needed identification of the strengths and weaknesses of each method using examples, and that's your analysis section. So one, you do the undergrad part, which is summarize and understand. 2, you start to do more of the master's work, which is analytically looking at strengths and weaknesses. For that, you want to use examples from each, you want to use biblical examples, and you want to use outside resources or research. This is one of the capstone courses for your master's program, and so I am expecting excellent research capabilities through the use of Logos as well as other resources. I wanted a discussion and a conclusion in light of the 2 different theological methods, and I really wanted you to identify what is the core difference between the 2. And then, as I had mentioned, we want biblical and academic support and use of outside resources and research. And by the way, most of those components will be the same for every assignment we have this semester. And then in assignment 1-2, several of your friends have recently joked about seminary being a cemetery, and a mentor has approached you suggesting that all you need to know is the Bible. And there's good biblical support for that position, and I needed you to interact with the biblical support as well as outside. And then, or you could write a 2 to 3 page position statement on the value of systematic theology. And the class was pretty split about which way they completed the assignment. Regardless of the way you went, the keys were to review the importance of theology in seminary education. And to do that, you needed to use biblical support to illustrate your conclusions as well as argue with the conclusion that you do not need a seminary education. Then use of academic citations and quotations that support your thesis from both the reading and outside research. And then I wanted the inclusion of some personal reflection, regardless of whether it was a letter or a position statement, on how your position impacts your either theology or ministry. Then we had a discussion post. Describe your opinion about the value and importance of theology before you started this class, as well as the view of other Christians you know, and especially those in your ministry setting. In what ways has this week's reading from Erickson changed or not changed your view? And so one of the keys to that is personal reflection, which virtually everyone in the class did fine. And then academic reflection and analysis and interaction with Erickson and Grudem and outside research. And that's where grades got diminished a little bit. Or it says the other alternate assignment is Erickson, discusses the view of contextualization in Chapter 4 of his theology, and I wanted you to go through that. So, the keys to this assignment were an analysis of Erickson, regardless of which way you went, and interaction with the reading. Then discussion of contextualization and culture, more contextualization if you did the alternate, more culture if you did the initial. Interaction with potential questions from your community, use of biblical support to illustrate your conclusions, use of academic citations and quotes to support your thesis, both from the reading and outside research, and inclusion of personal reflection. So if you notice on all three assignments, one thing that is consistent in the way I grade is I want biblical support, I want support from your reading, and I want support from outside research, and then finally I want personal reflection. And that will be weeks 1 through week 8. If your grade was docked a little bit for that, please know that I'm looking for it in future weeks. So I think the final takeaway for me is we're off to a really good start this semester. I think on whole, folks did a good job. If English is not your first language, please have someone read and proofread your papers, which means you're going to have to get them done a few days early, and work on grammar. This is, again, the end of a master's program in an American setting, and I am expecting, whether you're from Des Moines, Iowa, or Japan, I am expecting proper grammar and good English. So I do mark off, regardless of whether you're an international student or a domestic student, based upon grammar and sentence structure and how your paper is put together. Secondly, the other big thing I counted off for is oftentimes people would allude to or quote from or mention a published source and not use a citation. We're expected to use Turabian in this class. And there are some other methods, and if you consistently use another method, I'm not going to count off for that, but you have to use an accepted national standard citation methodology for both your quotations, footnotes, and bibliography. And I am marking off for that. So please take a few minutes to review Turabian. Another common grammar error I saw is Bible is always capitalized. It's a book. And biblical is not capitalized. It is an adjective or a noun, but it's not a book. So little b for biblical, big B for Bible. And then finally, call me or email me with any questions. I look forward to week 2. I really think the class is coming along, and I appreciate all of your hard work. Have a great day.